For many years, the track, grandiosely called Old Stairs Road at Kingsdown, was a badly rutted byway which ran between the fields from the bottom of Kingsdown Hill to St Margaret's at Cliff. It had no proper road surface to speak of, apart from the chalk beneath. But these days, I have been informed that it has been resurfaced and partially closed to traffic with a barrier. When I lived in this area in the late 1970s and early 80s, I heard many accounts of allegedly haunted locations in the Deal area. I soon found out that this particular track had many people claim to have a sense of general unease when walking along it, especially in the late evening to dusk period. The most commonly voiced opinion is that there is a sense of brooding malevolence from a point where the track passes Otty Bottom cottages until it rises out of the dip and climbs towards St Margaret's, an area that is locally known as Otty Bottom. The same experience was described to me when walking in the opposite direction, starting as one descends the slope and walking along the track until reaching the cottages, where the feeling faded. Dogs being walked in the evening have been seen to look over their shoulders at unseen pursuers and run away with hackles raised and fear in their eyes at this same stretch of track. At certain times, the sensation of unease increases to the eerie feeling of being watched and of being followed by something invisible. The path is dark, and in places the trees and bushes encroach. Something is there tickling the back of the mind and making the hairs stand out on the neck. Locally, there persists the tale that the sound of the clatter of armour and horses' hooves have been sporadically heard along this track. It is said that these sounds are made by the soldiers from the Black Prince's army encamped along this stretch prior to embarking for his famous campaign in France. The trouble is, if my history serves me right, that he set sail from Southampton. So what were his troops doing near Dover? Metal detector surveys in the fields about have not assisted in confirming this, but history has never got in the way of a good ghost story yet. Periodically, a friend and myself have walked this particular track in both directions. It must be said at this point that we combined the pleasure of paranormal investigating whilst walking through to St Margaret's, where we would compare experiences over a pint or two. Always, we set off fairly early so that a couple of points could be stopped at, listened and watched, in the vague hope that we might see, hear or feel something. Although I must admit that nothing has been seen or heard, which is a shame considering the effort that has been committed to this place over the years that I lived there. I can personally attest, however, to the distinct feeling of being followed along the track and the brooding presence that seems to dwell there. This happened on almost every occasion that I passed through this particular spot in the evening, but not later on in the night or in the morning, only ever in the late evening around dusk. It felt almost like a dog padding behind us, a few paces behind us, nothing ever seen or heard, but something was there. When we stopped, it stopped. When we walked on, there it was behind us, all the time intensifying, almost daring us to stop and look around. And then, when we got to that point on the track that the small stream crossed, it was no longer there.